Greetings, Wildcat families. This is your principal, Mrs. Childers, and I have a 6-week of school update for you, both as caregivers, things that you need to know to be able to stay in the loop, and then for students as well, and that way the caregivers may also give some reminders as well. One of our basic things that we start school with every day is our school safety and student safety. So I wanted to give you a couple of updates about student safety, couple about progress reports, and then what's coming up for parent conferences and how to sign up for those. So on the student safety side, thank you to all the families that had conversations with their students about appropriate use of technology, including what apps that you as a family want them to engage with, and to be able to have discernment about which trends and things to ignore, because we know who we are. So thank you for adjusting students, especially with regard to safety in our restrooms. And then we also wanted to update about crosswalk safety for our car riders and bike riders and walkers as well. Our 6th grade PE classes are reviewing crosswalk safety because a lot of students missed out on that last year as part of remote learning. And then as a community, thank you for looking out for our students. Thank you for talking to your students about their appropriate way that they walk or ride, and thank you for kind of checking ourselves too as far as coming to complete stops, following the rules, parking where we're supposed to. That way we can keep everybody safe. I put in the email earlier this week some links for some community advocacy, and so there's two parts of that. One is to reach out to your representatives because they can hear your passion, our councilmen and things like that when you need things in our community. And the other part is the paperwork side of it, so that bureaucratic, have you put in requests for official requests if we need crosswalks restriped, stop signs, those kinds of things. I know Fort Worth PD has already been responsive in the neighborhood as well, looking out for cars driving through school zones too fast. So thank you guys for your help, because it does take the entire community. The other part of student safety that I want to give a reminder about and a shout out is IDs. Most of our students are doing a great job having their ID on every day. It is part of the student dress code that IDs be visible and above the waist at all times. And so two parts to that. One, we had a medical emergency on campus this week with a student who had no medical history sent by the family yet. And so if we didn't have his ID or the teacher didn't know who that student was, we would have had even more issues being able to contact a parent and get appropriate help. So if the basic level, even extreme emergencies like that. The second part I wanted to update you about is that when your student does charge an ID, it does go on their fines records, and you get those printouts every 3 weeks. So you can monitor your account. You may have a conversation with your student about, hey man, the school gave you a free ID. We joined PTA, joinpta.org, hint, 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 and we got a second free ID. These other IDs, you may have to be taking out the trash a little more, helping out around the house, and if they aren't generating that $3 to pay you back, they can give you the time. So that student responsibility every day with their ID. Progress reports are coming out today on Friday. We're closing that grading period window. They'll be pushed out through HACC next week. On Monday, we do have an extended advisory bell schedule. You'll see that schedule in the description box. You can click to the newsletter, or if you're reading this from the newsletter down below, you'll see our extended advisory schedule, because our counselors and teachers are presenting a very specific lesson that takes a little bit longer, and it's our suicide awareness and prevention lesson. You got an email from the counselors about that, so that you can kind of dive into that more, especially if your family has any past trauma or history and you need to opt your student out of that activity. That email is for you. Next up in October, we have our caregiver conferences. And so whether you're the mom, dad, auntie, uncle, foster parent, grandparent, whoever is supporting the education of your student here at Wilson, we welcome you to Parent Conference Night. Now, a couple things about that. In middle school, students have 8 different teachers, so you do not need to go to 8 different parent conferences. You may actually not even need to go to one parent conference. You may have already emailed the teacher, talked to them about little things. If all is going well on your end and they haven't reached out to you, enjoy the night off. You guys are busy people. If you have a concern that you need to speak with a specific teacher about, like one teacher, just email that teacher and they can set up a Zoom time with you anytime this semester. But if you're like, oh, I kind of want to have the group together and get 2 or 3 teachers together at once instead of having 3 separate conversations, because whatever this behavior or concern is showing up in multiple places, then in the links below, there's a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade link. You sign it up, you put your time. You can either do a Zoom or come to the building in person, meet with that group of teachers, have a powwow, and then we make a plan to support your student. Students, you are so loved and so cared for, so we're excited that your families will be able to partner with us even more. So that's about our caregiver conferences. Last shout out is to all of our kids who are diving in deep to everything that public school in Texas has to offer, especially in the fall. So we've got cheer, volleyball, running club, cross country, football, National Junior Honor Society, Student Council, Destination Imagination are all already up and running with more clubs and activities to come. And so if your student is like, I want to get involved, I want to be able to have a little group with me, we know there's band, choir, orchestra concerts, and theater performances also happening this fall. There's so many places for you to dive into things at Wilson. So big closing out. We're managing our grades, we're checking in with teachers and staff if we need additional supports to have your students successful, and we've got opportunities for them to dive in a safe environment. That is the Wilson update for our first 6 weeks of school. Thank you for being amazing community partners and school partners. We appreciate you and value you. If you need anything, please reach out to any of us. Take care.